Try HelloFresh UK to get 60% off your first box, 25% off for 2 months, and to, of course, help support this channel. Link is down in the description. Thank you for your support. Well, after a remarkable rise, we are back today to prepare for life in a second tier of English football, arguably one of the most competitive leagues in the world. But today we start with a very tricky test away from home. But first of all, we've got a transfer special, and whisper it quietly, I'm cautiously optimistic. Yes, hello and welcome along to part 33 and season 5 of this FM24 story, Saving Southend, with me, Daniel. There is no doubt we have now saved the club from extinction. Not only that, we've got them back to where they were 20 years prior. The difference this time, though, we've got to try and survive in the Championship, and I've been busy over the past few days trying to arm us with a squad to do so. So if you're looking forward to seeing who we've brought in, whether or not we've got a strong enough squad, and how we get on away at Nottingham Forest, one of the favourites for promotion this season, then please do put a thumbs up on the video. We've got a very big season in store in this one, and we've got a huge episode coming up in the head coach tomorrow, the first bookmark of the series as we reach the 5-season point, and of course that'll be followed by a transfer special there. But here it is all about one of the trickiest starts we could have had, as well as a lot of transfer action. Unfortunately, we don't get to see the new stadium today, but it's a pretty big away game to start our time in the Championship. So let's have a look at what's been going on this summer, because my word, there's a lot to get through. In total, we've got 9 players that have come into the club, a few familiar faces within that as well, and we've also sold £1 million worth of talent, but I would say none of last year's first 11, so there are some positives to come from it. The TV deal in the Championship is really helping us out, but we are having to increase the wage bill quite a bit. I've tried to keep a general structure, but I've already broken my plan once, so you're going to see what I've gambled on here, and I think it's pretty much worthwhile. So let's go and have a look at the transfer action via the club info screen, just to confirm that we have now moved in to Steve Tilson Park, 11,252 all-seater, slightly smaller capacity than Roots Hall, but with a big expansion potential for the future, club owned, all very much our own stuff, and hopefully that will save any rental fees, etc. We've got great training facilities now, good youth facilities. The youth level was increased at the request of the board, and the academy coaching and youth recruitment are both improving too. So the biggest thing to take out of this, as I always do in these saves, is make sure you're improving things off the pitch, make sure you're improving your coaching teams, your staffing and your facilities before you even worry about the team. That we've very much been doing. What we've also done this summer, yet again, is taken advantage of our affiliation with Southampton. Our parent club stayed in the Premier League, and we have really utilised them this year. But let's have a look at what's happened in terms of transfers, and we'll start with the newly fixed screen in Football Manager, which is staffing. Because whilst we've not really changed much of our core team, we have brought in a new goalkeeping coach in Daryl Flahaven, who was formerly a Southend goalkeeper for many a year, a very good one in the old FMs, and is also a very good goalkeeping coach who is going to improve us no end. He replaces Jerome John, who had been here on a month-to-month deal. We've expanded the team with a set-piece coach in Craig Donnelly, with another coach in Paul Robinson, the former Birmingham, Leeds and Bolton defender. You may remember him from West Brom as well back in the Premier League days. And in this season, we've also expanded the recruitment analysis team. We've brought in our first, I would say, superstar of the recruitment team so far in this save. A couple of people also going out, and we're trying to bring in a new scout as well. But overall, we're expanding our team rather than replacing people, which is a great stage to be at in this save. We've also, though, got to look at the players, because that's what you're here for. And if we start with those that have been released, we have to say goodbye to some proper legends of this save. Some of the original superstars who are the reason we are where we are now, and none more so than 2 of these top 3 names who were our original starting partnership up front, who scored the goals to get us safe from that points deduction first season, and both played a huge part in our first promotion as well. Harry Cardwell has left the club after a pretty average loan at Dorking Wanderers, it's got to be said, but those first 2 seasons for us, he won the Golden Boot, both in the year where we stayed up and the year where we then went up. Contributed a little bit in League 2, and did get to play a couple of games in League One. I would have loved to have kept him on a 1 year deal, but he didn't want to stay. So unfortunately, he will move on. He's wanted by a few clubs in the National League, and while that is probably his level, I'm sure he'll do a great job there. The other one was Dan Mooney, who again, a versatile winger who we had to play up front through the fact we had no players at the start of the save. And he ended up being a superstar. Did really well in those first two National League seasons. Did a solid job in League Two as well, it's got to be said. And was okay at Northampton last year in League Two as well. So he's wanted by Tranmere and a couple of other clubs at that level. And hopefully he'll go and have a good career as well. The next one is Joe Tomlinson, who I think we signed in League Two, didn't we? We did. He was first choice there for the most part once he got himself fit. And in League One, he actually featured a lot more than we expected last year. Played in 40 of the 46 games, albeit a lot of those off the bench, but his versatility off both left and right really ended up helping us. And again, a very solid player. I think you can see not good enough to step up to the Championship. Same applied to Ethan Ingram. He came in last year, didn't really get to contribute enough, but he's moved on to Queen's Park. We've got Colin Adengan, our first choice goalkeeper in our National League promotion. Did do a good job and actually stayed fit that year after a significant run of injuries in the first season, but a very key part of that title success. And in League Two, wasn't very good, did awfully in the EFL Trophy, but will be remembered as one of those National League heroes. Trayvon Mully I wanted to keep, but unfortunately, he got a chance to go to Notts County and triple his money, which he did. I didn't want to pay him the 1.8 grand a week he was requesting from us, so he moves on. Didn't really reach his potential, but did okay on loan last season. And we do know when we're signing those young players for free, for everyone that we sell on for £1 million like Kingdon, we're going to have a Mully who goes out on loan, does okay, and then gets released. It's part of life. Lloyd Afori Mantau is another one of those. Couple of loan spells, didn't really develop, and in the end, the scouts were right about him. I thought he looked great on paper, but he didn't improve, and he's now down at Boston United. And the final ones on this list here, all youth players. Mikey Dinsley was probably the best of them, and that tells you what the general standard was like. But let's go and move on to the actual transfers, because this summer has been a really interesting one. We sold 3 of last year's backup players for pretty good fees, if I may say so myself. We've bought in £1 million without losing any of our superstars, and we've replaced them all for free, which I'm sure you would expect no less from me. We've got 7 new faces there, 3 of them on loan from Southampton, and 2 names you'll recognise anyway. And we've also got 2 more returning faces who we've kept on from last year. So this has been a very good, efficient window in my opinion, and we've not really sacrificed finances in case we end up getting relegated, but I have given a little bit of commitment to the wage bill, which I wouldn't normally at this stage of the save. So let's start with the outs, because the first one was pre-agreed. Tom Winter Sinclair, a young player from our academy who's okay, but in the end wanted to go to Kilmarnock. They offered him a better opportunity than us, and he decided to move on. Trevor Clark was the first teamer to move on. The left winger we signed on a free last summer from Sligo. Well, he's gone back to the Republic of Ireland. He's playing in the Europa Conference for Derry City, and we got 350 grand for him at 29 after 1 year as pretty much a utility man. 2/3 of his appearances last season were off the bench. I'm pretty thrilled with that. Joel Coleman, our third choice goalkeeper, wanted to leave. He goes to Pompey for £15,000. He's worse than Blackmore. He's obviously worse than Daniel Rose, and we've signed another number 2 as well. A few youngsters go out on loan. Mark Broadhurst is one of our academy players with not much potential. Sean Rose has gone to Hamilton, mainly because we got a certain midfielder back in whose name you've probably recognised already. But a chance for him to go back to Scotland as a professional player, get first team football, play for a club that have got a pretty decent academy as well. I thought it was a bit of a no-brainer, so I didn't want him to rot and not get football in a championship. Craig Williams is probably the most successful that we've bought for our academy so far. He's gone on loan to Sutton in League 2, and after a good year in the National League with Woking last season, it's a chance for him to show he can be a Football League player. If it hadn't been for our remarkable rise, he probably would be featuring for us by now. But unfortunately, because of what we've done and achieved, he's going to have to go out on loan again. But he's only 19, he could yet improve further. We've loaned out another youngster to Lowestoft who's not going to make it. But then the next big sale from the senior team was Bubba Fernandez. Now, this is a deal that didn't really work out for us, but I find it interesting because he's gone to Birmingham who pipped us to the League One title last year. They've brought him in as a backup player. He was a backup for us prior. He obviously didn't get a work permit, so had to be allocated one of those elite slots. And while he did do okay for us when he featured, he didn't really stay fit enough. He wasn't available regularly, and he didn't stand out compared to our other centre halves. And he was perhaps unfortunate that we were then able to go and find a Jarell Quansah or whatever last year. So it didn't really work, but he's a good player, and I'm glad he got a good move. And we got 250 grand's profit out of it, which is excellent. Ian Baines is another one with big potential for us. He's gone on loan to Newport County. 1.5 ability, massive potential, but a personality that might not allow him to make it. We've tried him with mentoring. We've tried to loan him out for football, and so far nothing's worked. So I'm hoping that Newport might deliver the answer there. Nico Lawrence, perhaps another one that's unfortunate with our success because we bought him in last summer. We were going to loan him out for a year. Then he'd be ready for League One football, which he probably is, in fairness. He could have easily taken over the Bubba Fernandes role this year, but the Championship is another big step up, and as a result of that, we've loaned him out again. Michael Dewenny, yes, he's still under contract. He's gone to Rochdale on loan. We tried to sell him, nobody wanted him, and Rochdale offered to pay his wages, so he goes off there. Again, a bit unfortunate that we're not still a League One club, but he's someone who, mentality-wise, has not been great, has complained whenever he's not played football, and has not shown any signs of reaching his potential, so I can't really back him too much. Harry Cornick is the last big sale of the summer, 400 grand to Livingston, a player who was unhappy that we didn't offer him a bumper new deal when we got promoted, a player who at 32 years of age, whilst not that reliant on his physicality in this game, was not someone who was going to be a first teamer. We had Sonny Hilton, we had McKinstry come on loan, who, spoiler alert, we've managed to keep. And we've also got one other as well. So when we got offered 400 grand, it was far too good to refuse. Let's get on to the exciting part though, and that is the 7 players that have come in and the 2 that we've managed to keep, one of which I've spoiled already. You can see 2 familiar names in this list of 7. You can also see that generally we've done our work a lot later than we normally would. I don't know how much that will affect the squad because there are a few first teamers there. We just couldn't pick up players before we ticked over to the Championship. Our reputation then increased, we got some of the TV money in and all start to look a bit brighter. But let's start with the first man who did agree to join and the only one who agreed a deal early. Joe Hugill from Nottingham Forest on a free, a 23-year-old striker with 3-star ability, 4-star potential, and I'm sure you can work out what I like about him. He's good in the advanced forward role. He's good in the target man role. He's 6'3". He's good in the air. He's good on the floor. He's quick. He's a good finisher. He's a player who maybe lacks a little when it comes to natural fitness and overall technical ability, but as a striker in both of the roles we use, he makes perfect sense. Now, I'm a bit worried because we're going to be playing our back 3 and 1 up front a bit more than we like this season, particularly in games like today where we're away to a massive club. But overall, I just felt as a player happy to be an impact sub on only 5 grand a week, I can't see a way where we don't make a profit on him, even if he pops up with 5 or 10 goals this year. So he'll come in. We've got Presley, we've got Dans. I think we're going to be in really good shape. We'll see how he does for us. The second one needs no introduction. Last year's star centre-half, Jarell Quansah, and you can see I've broken the wage structure a bit. 8 grand a week to bring him into the club, but a Scottish international, a brilliant centre-half. We know how good he can be. He's got championship experience with Blackpool and with Coventry in 2 loan spells. And he's a player that I just felt we had to bring back. We did agree a deal with him for 7 grand a week, but Stoke in League One, they came along and blew us out the water. So Quansah's agent came back and said, you want him, you've got to pay more. So we did. And Jarell Quansah is now here. I still feel he's already a championship centre-half. And I do feel he's going to be crucial to us staying up comfortably this year. So I felt that for the extra grand a week beyond what I wanted to pay anyone, I had to make that deal happen. But he is the highest paid player at the club. And if we go down, he's got a release clause and he's got a 25% wage drop. Let's move on to the big solution next though, because one position we have not been able to find a superstar is right back. Well, now we have. Alex Williams is a 22-year-old, but continues the mould we've had in this position. A short player who can't jump, but this one has got a bit of an interesting background. First things first, which was crucial more than ever this summer, natural as a right back and a wing back, because as I mentioned, we're going to have to set up more defensively at times. But he's got big potential. He's got an interesting career path so far, and he's got a fairly professional personality. Played last year in Romania out on loan, where he did really well. Has played for Tranmere in League Two. Has played for South Shields in the National League North, and has been on the books at West Brom, where he's never played at this level. But we've got him in. He's on a 3-year deal, 5.5 grand a week. Again, a solid wage for the Championship. I just feel he's a solid all-rounder, and he gives us a sensible player in that position who may well improve. So while in a back four, he may get caught at the back post occasionally. Next to him is a 6'6" centre half, which will hopefully mitigate that. But when he's playing right wing back, looking at his ability going forward, I do feel he's going to be a step up in terms of level. The next one is where we start our Southampton raid, and this one is a new face to the club. Tyler Diblin is a right and left winger, a professional player who's naturally left-footed, one cap for the England under-21s. He's got brilliant ability, and this is the area where I felt we had to improve. We're not going to have as much of the ball this year. We're not going to dominate the games in the middle much, and we're not going to have as much service for our strikers. So when we get it, it's got to be quality. That's why I went back in for McKinstry, and that's why I went in for this guy. He's quick, he's got good delivery, good technique, can take people on. And you know what? For a player that can play off both sides, that's got a good personality, that's got plenty of experience of EFL football, I'm really happy with him. But then we brought back a player who we have had before in this save. 6-month loan spell that was pretty memorable in League Two. Wouldn't stay with us last year, but now he's back. Reece Russell-Denny becomes our 4th centre midfielder. This is the reason that Sean Rose has gone on loan to Hamilton, because Russell-Denny is back, no wage contribution, 21-year-old centre midfielder, 3-star ability, determined, solid, can play the holding role, and I felt it was important to have one of those this year, because if we needed to change shape and go to a midfield 3, he could be that man that takes the ball off the back 3 as a playmaker. So he comes in having played a year in a championship with Blackpool, played for us in League Two and was brilliant in that loan spell. And hopefully he'll do the same again in the championship. And he's out of contract next year. So if he does well, we'll try and sign him. Next man is a backup goalkeeper. Same name as the first choice. What confusion could that cause? Joe Rose, just a solid goalkeeper. Had been on the books at Sunderland, had been with Norwich prior to that. Had a spell in the Netherlands, had a spell in Australia. Has played a bit of senior football, which is important. But Joe Rose, just a solid number 2. Happy to be exactly that. And he'll be behind his namesake and ahead of Blackmore. And now we've got 3 solid keepers. Happy days. And the final one to come into the club was just a little bit of depth, to be honest. It's a loan from Southampton again, making use of our final loan slot from them. Dylan Smith comes in as a 21-year-old Scottish centre-half. Again, an international, which I find a bit weird. But has played for Queen's Park, has played for Dundee, has played for Hibs, Ross County, etc. He's got bundles of experience in Scottish football. He's been signed by Southampton for 1.4 million. He seems to be rated really well. For example, he's rated better than Harrison Parker was, than Elkan Baggett, etc, etc. And he's got great determination and leadership, but don't actually think he's a brilliant player. Happy to have him. Good backup player for no wage contribution. I'm not sure he's the superstar that people think he is. But either way, very good to have him here and a very solid backup centre-half. So we've got those 7 additions. We've got 2 more to talk through as well. Those guys are Harrison Parker, who signed a new deal at Manchester City. He's been extended for a year and now he comes back here again because we've offered 5.5 grand a week of wages. And hopefully next year we can get him permanently because he's been on loan for us for 2 seasons now. He's been brilliant in 2 promotion campaigns. Came on loan at the end of that National League one as well. I mean, he's just a superstar. I really like him. Physically good. Great in that covering role in the middle of a back 3. I'm very happy to have him here yet again. The other thing I should mention in defence as well is that we had a bit of history in FM because for the first time in I don't know how long, a player who'd signed as an option to leave at the end of his contract agreed to sign a new deal. Elkan Baggett signed one, and again, I couldn't really find better backup centre-half, so he comes in, will be a backup when we're playing 4 at the back, and will come in on the left when we play a back 5, like today. The final signing I've mentioned already, Stuart McKinstry stays on for another year. Again, we've had to pay more of his wage, 6 grand a week this time. A very good winger. I've mentioned the importance of that delivery. With him and Diblin off the right and left, I think we've got a really good chance this year. I know we've got two stalwarts at the club in Hilton and Ferry, but they did struggle more in League One than they have in previous years. So they'll be good squad players. They'll still be in the dressing room, but the two we've brought in are going to be the stars. I've no doubt in that. Also, a quick mention for two players that have come back from loan. Cameron Ishmael, who will be the backup left back this year, developing really well. Egypt international, looking good. And then Leighton Stewart, who will be the fourth choice striker behind Dans Presley and the new boy Hugill. Tyler Diblin can play up there as well if need be. And then Colin Driscoll, he comes as our fifth choice centre half, mainly because of the loan players, no one wanted him. And he's got a good enough personality that he can improve with training. We'll try and get him in for cup games and things like that. So that is our team and squad for this season. And I don't know about you, I'm feeling fairly optimistic. I think we're going to stay up. I don't think we're going to be anywhere near the top, but I do think we can survive this year. We look at the season preview. The media don't have us as outright favourites. You can see just to the side of my head here, we are third favourites to go down after Lincoln and Oxford. But there's also Blackpool, Rotherham and Derby pretty close by. And Rotherham, who came up in the playoffs with us, are one we've got to watch out for. At the top end of the table, there are some tough teams here. West Ham, Wolves, Fulham, Forest, who we play today, and Norwich, Sunderland, Luton are up there as well. And Birmingham, who came up with us last year, we know how strong they are. So this is not going to be an easy season. I do expect us to try and stay up. We're playing Forest today, who have got two players in a team of the year. The Media Dream 11 with Awani and Sangare. They've still got the likes of Hudson-Odoi, etc. So let's just go and get into our new season and find out truly how big this task is today. I just realised Muric is the Forest keeper, who is also in the Dream 11. They're playing a 4-2-3-1. They've got a lot of players you'll recognise in there. But with the team selection on the horizon and nearly 30,000 fans in at Forest who are still managed by Steve Cooper, this is the team we've gone for. And because there's not as much expectation on a result today, I have actually brought in a couple more new faces than I normally would. Okay, Kwanzaa, Parker, Russell Denny, McKinstry, all second debuts, but Diblin's in, Williams is in, and the only place I've not really gambled is up front. So this is the 11 we've gone for in full. Only a couple of reserve players and the returning Joe Williams missing out on the squad. Our 11 for today, in the back three is Daniel Rose in goal. We've got Kwanzaa, Parker and Baggett reunited as the back three. Parks and Williams the wing backs. Then Russell Denny in alongside Morehouse in midfield. McKinstry and Diblin the new boys who are going to swap out wide. Diblin a left footer and I want to get deliveries in. And then Aaron Presley will start the first game of the championship season up front. Dan's is on the bench, Hugill's on the bench, and they'll both play in the cup tie in midweek. So a lot of the familiar names among the substitutes if needed. Luke Matheson's still here as well, despite being unhappy. But that is the best team I can put out today, and I'm hoping it can cause Forest a threat, as well as being defensively solid. Let's go and find out if it can. Into the first day of the season we go. Well, I don't often have to give out 7 squad numbers on the opening day. If you look at Forest team, you've got the likes of Dean Sanderson, Isaiah Jones, good championship players mixed with the quality they had. And even their bench, the likes of Jack Harrison, Anthony Alanga, probably individually earn what our whole starting 11 does. But there's no pressure on us today. We can relax and enjoy this. Forest will be expectant. They will come here and think we should be winning 2 or 3-0. And I want to prove them wrong. But early doors, we're going to be under pressure as Sanderson finds Murillo in the back three. Up to Perot and Williams has missed it. Hudson-Odoi's been released. Inside to Bidstrup. He goes for the shot. It curls just wide. I think we've seen in one counter-attack there that this season is going to be a little bit trickier because we've got teams on the counter who can flick a switch in 5 seconds. As Daniel Rose goes long with a goal kick. Russell Denny loses out. Awani wide to Isaiah Jones. It's coming straight back at us. In he goes to Asal. It's offside. Rose wasn't to know. It's a wonderful save from him. He might have his best season yet this year. He's going to need to if we're going to have a good one. Well, first chance to see us in an attacking area. 11 gone and we've got a throw with Parks. Bibbin gets it back to Baggett and now Morehouse. Through ball to McKinstry. Oh, wow. Oh, my word. It's come out of nowhere. Jack Morehouse is really improving. Says that's McKinstry's first goal for us. Did he not score at all last season? No, he didn't. Just assist. That is magic. We said we wanted to have a threat, but we've been absolutely pummeled for 15 minutes. And we've popped up with a goal from our only shot on target. At the moment, we're officially FM in Nottingham Forest as Sangare Gets down the right for them. Good ball in. Taiwo Awani. Back on the edge of the box to Sanderson. And now Sangare. He finds Bidstrup. Again, they've camped us in. Deflected shot hits the woodwork. And Parks clears it as far as Sanderson. I genuinely don't know how we're ahead in this game. We've been absolutely battered for the most part. We've got the wrong league's results up as well. Let's see how it's getting on today. Not many goals about at the minute. We're 5 to the break. It's 1-0 to us. Lincoln are drawing with Wolves as well. They were the favourites to go down. So definitely some early surprises in a championship season. How on earth are we 1-0 up at half-time there? Forest are definitely unhappy because they have battered us. And they're obviously not happy because they've made a triple sub as well. Alanga, Horta and Harrison on. All of the attacking midfield 3 taken off. And Jones wasn't playing that badly. So that does seem a bit odd. But you look at them, we're restricting them clearly to long shots. They've had most of the ball. They've had a few corners. But they're just having shots from distance. And we're happy with that. Even if they score a screamer, we'll get something out of the game. As Sanderson throws into Harrison. Sangare again on the right. Good ball in. Alanga's up. There's the header. Good goal from him. He rises at the back post, and that's what I was worried about with Williams. Kwanzaa ideally would have shuffled across there, but not to be. And with 20 to go, to be fair, we should be happy with 1-1, shouldn't we? I'm going to bring on Jaden Dans up front. I'm also going to take off Diblin on his debut. Will Ferry will get his run in the Championship. McKinstry has been poor despite his goal, so it'll be Hilton on for him. We weren't able to get Fernandez back annoyingly. And then at fullback, both are struggling. I don't really want to take them off though. I'm going to leave it at 3 for now, I think. In fact, no, I'll take off Russell Denny for Smith and switch in with Jack Morehouse. 4 changes made, 20 to go. I would bite your hand off for this result, particularly given how good Forest have been, as Kwanzaa gets the ball at the back. Inside to Parker. He finds Baggett. Got the goalkeeper, but goes long instead. Smith flicks on for Dans. Oh, I thought we were going to smash it again. Jaden Dans over the bar. Probably had more time than he thought there. Panicked under pressure. It's a step up for a lot of these players, but with 10 to go, what an effort it's been. Both wing-backs are struggling. Morehouse fatigued. I'm not really sure who we bring on. Matheson is a huge step down at right wing-back. And Morehouse, we've not really got a sub for in midfield. And he's the one ideally we'd take off. I could put Hilton there and bring on another right-sider. But I'm not going to. I'm going to bring Matheson on for Williams. I know that's a gamble. He's a familiar player at the club. He's not knackered. And that might just be enough. As we get to 90 minutes, you're going to have to accept my apologies here. I'm going to time waste for the point. I'm pretty sure on the opening day of the season, this is one of the best chances we're going to get a result off one of the big boys. So we're going to drop them as well. We're also going to stop overlapping. We're going to slow the pace down. We're going to play a little less wide. And we're going to time waste, make sure we don't go too far forward. Hopefully that will be enough. We've got 3 minutes added on. This would be some result. We normally start the seasons poorly. Oh no, I've celebrated too soon. I'm about to look like an idiot, I think. Falls for Smith, the man we tried to sign 2 years ago, back to Alanga. Oh, I've celebrated a draw 30 seconds before the end. What a mug I look like now. Forest 2, Southend 1. And that's the difference this year. When we're tired at the end of a game, these teams have got the ability to take advantage in an individual moment. It was a really good effort. It was a solid performance, and we restricted them mainly to long shots. But they've got Anthony Alanga on 62 grand a week, who they're bringing off the bench at half-time. It's a really different situation to what we've got. Stephen Parks has picked up a knock and will miss the cup tie and next weekend as well. Diblin has made his debut, as did Williams. We got a few of those bits out the way. But what a frustrating day, because it could have been a brilliant point. But if we play like that all season, we'll pick up enough results on the road and we'll certainly frustrate 2 or 3 teams in a year. But let's be honest, this season is all going to be about the home games. And I'm going to come back for a very big one next time out. I could show you the Oxford game, which is pretty much a relegation 6-pointer. But I'm going to come back for deadline day. And this home game a few days later. West Ham United at home in a league fixture for Southend. I've got a feeling it's going to be a tricky season, but I do have faith that we'll stay up with this team. Let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree and where you think we'll finish. I do think deadline day will be quiet, but will we be poached for any of our star players? We'll wait and find out. If you did enjoy this episode, a big transfer special and a heartbreaking defeat away at Forest, then please do put a thumbs up on it. We're going to have to play like that with our backs to the wall a bit more this season, and hopefully we can stand up to the test a bit. If you want to find out if we do and see how we get on in our first championship season, then subscribe and turn that notification bell on. We'll be back with another big game from this one against the current real-life Premier League team in a couple of days' time. But between now and then, we've got our first bookmark in the head coach as we see how the English leagues look after 5 seasons and how our former clubs in Japan are getting on. We'll also have a transfer special from that one later this week as our director of football gets to work in the winter. But for now, a massive thank you for watching as always. You can find the links to the other playlists, the Twitch channel and the football podcast up in the eye above. Championship predictions every match day up there. You can also find a link to HelloFresh, the final day of our partnership with them. Get 60% and free delivery off your first box. Works out at less than £12 if you get the smallest box for the first week. You can cancel any time and there's no contract. So you're free to just give it a cheap taster if you want to. But thank you very much for joining along. Your support as always is appreciated. This is going to be a remarkably fun season and hopefully we can stay above the dotted line. We'll see you next time as we host West Ham United.